So, thanks everybody for attending. Nathan, keep an eye on that waiting room for me. I'm really excited for everybody to hear the details about the field sites and get an opportunity to hear from the field site directors themselves. Maybe I visited your class and you heard a few minute blip from me, or maybe you got an email from a listserv about the field sites. So, this is a great opportunity to get all the details and really get you thinking about scheduling. I'm going to share a couple slides before I turn it over. I go back and forth between Teams and Zoom so much, I always have to remember what I'm doing. I'm Susan Cohen, by the way. I am with the Institute for the Environment, and along with my colleagues at Study Abroad and the Environment, Ecology, and Energy Program and the EAMS department, I help run the field sites. And I wanted to start with this one really quick. I was working on some FAQs. So what happens a lot is my internet freezes in the middle of the afternoon. So I'm going to turn off my camera for a second and see if I can get this to switch. Perfect. Because I just want to tell you a couple of things before you hear the details. So as a reminder, and you probably heard this from me before if you were in a classroom I visited, today we're really talking about three of the four field sites. There's two on the coast, the Outer Banks in Morehead City, and one in the Highlands in the mountains. And we are currently accepting applications for fall of 26. But maybe you're not ready for fall of 26. So if what you hear is amazing, but you all of a sudden panic because you already have your schedule and a housing lease, think about fall of 27 or fall of 28, right? So plan ahead. This is a real opportunity to do that also. But we would also love to see you fall of 26. So that is only in the fall, and that's for those three sites. And we do have open enrollment right now. First come, first serve. Applications close March 1st, and the field sites are already starting to fill up. So I encourage you, if you're interested in fall of 26, to not wait too long. I don't want you to rush into anything, but if you're serious, to go ahead and get to work on an application. And before we hear from the field site directors, I do want to tell you about one site we have on campus only open in the spring, and that's the Sustainable Triangle Field site. We are also accepting applications right now for this field site, and you can go to the QR code that I'm about to give you to visit information about all the field sites. You can also click to apply now from the QR code that I'm going to give you right now. And I'm going to post these slides, so no worries there. So grab a shot of that. You can also Google UNC Institute for the Environment. You can go to Study Abroad. I have all these field site web pages for you on the very last slide that I'll show you after the field site directors are done. So I'm going to start with a video that we have from our Outer Banks field site director, Dr. Lindsay Dubbs, who's joining us, but is on a ferry with the current fall field site students. So they are coming back from the field, and because she wasn't sure about her connectivity, she went ahead and recorded a video, but she's available for questions. So, Lindsay, I will try not to screw this up. I feel like I have to enable sound, and I should have done that, but let's just see what happens. So, everybody be patient for 1 second. I should have had it queued up. Told you you could count on me, Lindsay. So, I'm going to hit play, and somebody tell me if you can.
Dub,
Whoop,
and I'm the director.
hold on. And somebody tell me
Mhm.
if you can actually hear the sound, and if not, I'll have to just take a second. I hope that somebody's sending me a text telling me how to do it.
We can hear it, and you just I think need to share screen.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Emily, always looking
Yep,
out for me.
I can hear you. I can hear it.
You can hear it. Oh, shh.
Ah,
Okay, here we go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Dubb, and I am the director of the Outer Banks Field Site. Thank you for attending the IE Field Site info session. I apologize that I'm providing a recorded video, but we had to reschedule a field trip to Ocracoke due to the overwash that's been here on the northern Outer Banks for the past few weeks. So I will be on a ferry when you are in the information session. And I plan to join by phone, but don't anticipate having sufficient reception to be able to do a live presentation. I do hope to be able to answer questions once all the presentations have finished. And if not, I'm happy to answer emails and set up virtual conversations. Just reach out to me. My email address is on the last slide. But right now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our field site, the Outer Banks field site, and the coursework and experiences that we offer our students. First, the focus of the Outer Banks field site is integrative sciences and policy. In case you're wondering what that means, it means that our field site teaches about coastal systems, including the people in those systems, and policy, management, and law tools and solutions to address the environmental challenges that they face. Throughout the semester, Outer Banks field site students take at least monthly field trips interacting with people, places, and nature of the Outer Banks, and gaining extensive experiences in gathering, analyzing, and presenting both social and natural science data. These are a few photos of those experiences. Up at the top left, making night sky measurements. Down from that, measuring or surveying the distribution of ghost crabs on the beach. And then below that, helping with an oyster reef restoration project. And then to the right, exploring the Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge by canoe. And finally, to the far right, learning about waves and then also how to ride them. As the name suggests, we primarily operate on the barrier islands of the Outer Banks, from Ocracoke Island, which is right here north. And our home base is at the Coastal Studies Institute on Roanoke Island, which is pictured here at the bottom of the slide. The location of Roanoke Island is also marked here on this map by this green dot. On the right, you can see more details about this region, including the land area that is in conservation, which on the map is depicted as a blue overlay. Over 50% of the land area in this region is in conservation. Much of the rest is considered a vacation resort area seasonally during the summer, and this makes for an ideal place to study natural and peopled coastal communities and management decisions because they are often overlapping or conflicting, and it's a lot of complex decision making. Depending on the focus of the semester, our field trips, class sessions, and research projects extend from Norfolk, Virginia, where we learn about wetland migration, to Ocracoke Island, and everywhere kind of in between. And we also sometimes go inland to the Great Dismal Swamp and Elizabeth City, to the Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge and Lake Mattamuskeet. So we really use northeastern North Carolina as our extended classrooms. And because of where we're situated, you can witness both sunrise and sunset over the water every day if you'd like. As I mentioned, we get out to experience the amazing ecosystems, conservation lands, and human communities in this region, and get to hear about the challenges that are faced by the people who live here and who study and manage these places. So here in these photos, along the top from left to right, you can see the students working with a ranger at Jockey's Ridge, visiting Lake Mattamuskeet in the middle, and talking with the conservation manager at the Audubon Pine Island Sanctuary at the top right. We've gone paddling with English professor Bland Simpson on Lake Drummond. We've heard about the houses falling into the water before they fell into the water down in Rodanthe and Buxton, with the Dare County Emergency Management personnel and someone from the National Park Service, and then also taken many hikes in maritime forest with the managers of those forests that you see in the bottom right. This is also a great place to learn about environmental careers firsthand from organizations. At the Outer Banks field site and all of the field sites, you have an opportunity to do an independent research project or internship with a local organization, Our internship partners include research institutions, including the Coastal Studies Institute, state and federal government agencies, county and town planning departments, nonprofit organizations, education facilities, science communication and journalism entities, and environmental consultants. In these photos here, you can see Quinn doing work with the North Carolina Coastal Federation on the right. On the top left is Julia, who was, or Kayla, who's doing an independent research project. You can see Sophie doing a project with the manager of the Nags Head Woods. And then we also have folks working at the aquarium. This is a great opportunity to explore professional interests, see how academics apply in the real world, and to really allow you to have a deeper dive into an environmental subject. Similar to all of the other field sites, students also conduct research on a subject of relevance to our local community. And whatever the topic, our projects here at the Outer Banks field site always have a natural science component and a social science component. So our students look at a topic through an environmental lens and a human lens, and then they try and bring those two perspectives together. So you can see students working on survey questions up here at the right, doing vegetation assessments in both a marsh and also in the woods down here on the left, taking soil cores, putting up wildlife cameras, and brainstorming an interview guide. If you're wondering how all of this fits into the semester schedule, we essentially have 2 days that are primarily comprised of classes each week, and 3 days that are entirely experiential, whether that be in internships, fieldwork, doing labs, or taking field trips. And you can kind of see 2 example weeks of a field state student's schedule here at the top right. And even when we're in our classes, many of our activities and points of discussion are interactive and hands-on, as you can see from these pictures where students are doing a hydrology lab at the top left. They're out on a boat in Wanchese Harbor, making water quality measurements, the bottom left, making observations about different shoreline stabilization projects down here from a kayak, learning about fisheries by getting to handle some fisheries demonstration equipment, and learning how to conduct interviews down here at the bottom right. As far as living accommodations, the students live at a guest house in Manteo, which is a quaint little small town. They have access to a friendly and helpful resident advisor, and they have a choice of individual or shared rooms, and you can see a picture of that up here at the top left. There are lots of gathering places inside and outdoors, and there is a shared kitchen and laundry area at the guest house. And finally, basically, I've tried to put together how these classes fulfilled your grade requirements. You can see that here. Almost all of the classes can be applied to an environmental science or studies major, and except for the seminar, but the seminar is an opportunity for us to get out and visit places and experience places and interact with guest lecturers. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is here. Thanks.
That was awesome, Lindsay. We should probably start doing that, having everybody record their presentations. That was
Yeah.
that was really good. I couldn't find my clap react. Before we go to the next one, I'll just point out to everybody that, when you looked at that 2 week schedule, and you saw those photos, you spend more time outside than you do inside, right? So that is a huge part of these field sites, is really getting out into the real world and doing this work that has real world relevance. Sticking with our coastal theme,
Oh, right.
I am first need to give you all the sharing permissions. Nathan, I should have done that initially. Okay, so you should be good to go and to share. and not have your slides in cases because you see how good I am at this. I need to have
Now I just opened my screen
right.
saying I can't ever get things straight the first time. Give me 1 second.
You're all good. It's a very forgiving crowd.
All right, there we go. I think.
We also have our field site ambassadors. We have field site ambassadors every year. It's our new program, and they are here and there. Carly and Lily and Jordan. Jordan, there you are. And they are also ready to answer your questions. You can pop them in the chat. You can say, what's it really like living there? Are the beds comfortable? What do you really think about Nathan? Like, you can really get down and dirty with these students, and they are ready to answer all your questions.
All right, can y'all see that?
No.
No.
Maybe in a second.
I don't know if
Anybody else? Is it just me?
No, I don't see anything either.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
can't see it. Well, maybe now. Well, yeah,
You-
it's good now.
Okay, y'all can see that.
Yes.
All right, good. So yeah, so I'm Nathan Hall. I'm the director of the Morehead City Field Site. We also obviously do coastal research and education. The difference, I think, between us and the Outer Banks Field Site is probably the emphasis on the social aspects of the environmental problems on the Outer Banks. And I mean, the types of problems that we address the Morehead City Field Site are socially relevant, but we tend to focus more on the environmental aspects and less on the human aspects. I think it's fair to say. But we have the same kinds of awesome, environments, marshes, estuaries, the beach, and facing a lot of the same types of problems as the Outer Banks in relation to, storms and water pollution, sea level rise, erosion, those kind of issues. We're kind of in a stage of flux right now with the Morehead City Field Site. We usually have about 15 students per year. And this year, for the first time, we're opening the field site up to attempt somewhere near 30. So this is, it's a different scenario, but we have a large faculty at IMS that can support a larger field site. So, yeah, so the way we're going to structure this year is you're actually going to have some choices with courses. Before, it's just been, here's the courses that you take and you're going to love them, and everybody does. But this time, you're going to have a little bit of a choice. So there's going to be 4-hour lab courses that you can choose 2 of. And those are going to be Life in a Fluid World, which is really, it's fluid dynamics, but why does biology care? But it's taught by a fluid dynamicist. She's really good and she makes it very accessible. Then we have a coastal and estuarine ecology course, and then this other new course, ichthyology, to study the marine fishes. That's with Janet Nye, and she's awesome too. And then we have this human impacts on estuaries course, where you really look at how humans impact water quality of estuaries, how they affect shorelines, all kinds of issues with how we treat our estuaries badly and what we can do to, make things better. And then we're going to have 2 capstones this coming year. So the course sizes or the student enrollment in each one of these courses is still going to be kept small, which I think is one of the real benefits of doing one of these field sites is small cohorts. You really get to know each other and you get to know your faculty really well. And then you'll have one of these 2 capstones, and then you're going to have an independent research project. And that a lot of people, probably about half start an honors thesis at one of these field sites. So we always encourage that because it's just you're going to do a lot of work, whether you do the independent study or an honors thesis. You might as well, if you have the grades for it, and you're willing to take another semester, turn it into an honors thesis. And then we also have a seminar course where we bring in managers and researchers from mostly around the state, but we do bring people in from out, other places around the country to talk about their research or how they're using research to manage coastal environments. And you get a chance to interact with the seminar speakers, eat lunch with them, talk to them after. It's a really nice way to see what other people are doing. So this is just real quick. There's 9 faculty members at IMS, and actually there's 10. Can't count. About 7 of these are actively involved in the field site in any one semester. So these are the people that you'd be interacting with. There's me. Mondays are field trip days, so kind of get an idea of what the week looks like. Mondays are always a field trip day. So there will be field trips this semester that will combine learning outcomes from 2 of the courses alternating every other week. So we're trying to really get creative about using an all-day field trip to serve more than one course. I think this is going to be really a cool interdisciplinary approach to the field trip courses, or the courses for the field trip this coming semester. And I mentioned the seminar series, and I really want to talk whichever field site you go to, the odds are one of the most important components of your experience is going to be your independent research project. Students say this all the time. When you're doing your independent research project, you're going to be working closely with a faculty member. That faculty member is going to get to know you probably better than any faculty member that you've had so far. The advantage of that, first, you're going to learn a ton, but also when you're done, you're going to have a relationship with a faculty member that can guide you further career paths, also provide awesome letters of reference, which can just open a lot of doors. So I just want to mention this. We are in a really good place here at the Morehead City Field Site for these independent research projects because we have this huge cluster of marine research and management all within a few miles of us. We have NOAA's lab at Beaufort. It's 2 miles down the road. Duke Marine Lab, 2 miles down the road. We basically share a parking lot with NC State and the Division of Marine Fisheries and our community college. I see the wolf pack there, Susan. Yep. Anyways, just all of this is going on all in a very small space, and we take advantage of this. When we pair you up with independent research mentors, we get your input of what are you interested in, and then we look widely throughout this network of research and managers to find somebody to work with you that will meet your interests. And it's really worked out well for a lot of students that may be interested in something like dolphins. Who cares about dolphins? Well, lots of people do, obviously. So there's people over at Duke that care about dolphins and work on dolphins, and we can pair you up with those researchers. Now, what you really should be interested in is water quality. So I can deal with you with water quality, or Rachel Noble. I'm just joking. There's lots, we can pair you up with what you're interested in. I was told that y'all would like more information about degree requirements that can be fulfilled at the field site. So I made this little slide up to talk about some of the curriculum requirements you can fulfill. If you go to any of these field sites, you're going to have your high impact experience and your research and discovery requirement for the ideas and action curriculum met. If you do an independent research project at any of these, or if you just by going, it's going to be a high impact experience. So you have those 2 requirements filled for the III. If you're coming in, which a lot of students do, if you're coming in through E3P, you'll get one of your core requirements met, which is a capstone requirement. And you'll also get one of your Earth System Science requirements met if you choose to take the Coastal and Estuarine Ecology course. And then also, if you come in and you take the any of the choices at the Morehead City Field Site, you'll end up with being 1 credit shy of a marine sciences minor. If you're coming in through E3P, and particularly if you're in the marine biology and ecology, you get a whole lot of credits out of the way really quick. You can get you'll get 2 of your 4 fundamental courses taken, and then you'll also get both of your capstone requirements for an Eames major met. If you're in the hydrology concentration, you'll still get those capstone requirements met. You'll get at least 1 capstone requirement met by doing the independent study, and then possibly a second if you can get your capstone project approved through the department. So that really depends on what the capstone's probably about that year. If it's hydrologically related, you might convince the department that it meets that requirement. And then if you're in the geoscience and concentration, you're just going to get that 1 capstone requirement met for doing your independent study project. And then real quick, what do our housing situations look like? So we rent space from NC State. They have an apartment complex that's about a half a mile from here. And we set you up in 2-story townhouse style apartments. So there's 2 bedrooms, 1 on the bottom floor, 2 upstairs. And so 2 of you will be in each bedroom, each of you with your own bathroom, and then you share a large living room and a kitchen. And it's convenient to all kinds of, I mean, it's convenient to grocery stores and to the gym and to the beach. So they're nice accommodations. And then we also do have an RA that'll be living there with you to support what you need. And that's all I got. I'm happy to take questions.
There is actually one more bathroom too. There's 3 bathrooms in an apartment, which is
Oh,
nice.
2 ups. Thank you, Lily.
No problem. There's 1 like guest bathroom downstairs and then 2
Downstairs.
upstairs.
Yeah.
Extra bathrooms are really important. Nathan, I have one question for you, and then we may save the rest for the very end and have Rada go. But I think this is one question. Do you have to be a marine science student to go to the Morehead City Field Site? What if
No.
you just
No, absolutely not. The classes that you would take at the Morehead City Field Site are, they're in coastal settings, but the lessons that you learn in a coastal setting dealing with environmental issues can easily be applied to other settings. Yeah, so definitely you do not have to be a marine biologist to come to the Morehead City Field Site.
maybe it meets a lot of your goals for credits, but you also get to expose yourself to something new that maybe you don't want to do for the rest of your life, but you're really interested in. And
Yep.
I think that's an opportunity at all the field sites. So maybe you don't love the mountains, but you want to go there for a semester. So we are going to shift gears. We're going to leave the coast.
I love the mountains.
I know. You know what? The field sites are amazing. I love all of them. They're all in these extraordinary settings for a variety of reasons. But we're going to go deep into the mountains now and shift to Dr. Petrick.
All right. Can you guys see this okay?
We
Yes.
can look at all your tabs at the bottom.
Sorry. I'll have to pay attention to
I'm
those.
just teasing. Just kidding.
Yeah, so if you would like to spend your semester in Western North Carolina, deep in the mountains, as Susan has mentioned, then maybe you should consider Highlands Field Site. So if you do decide, or if you're interested in the Highlands Field Site, you actually live and learn at the Highlands Biological Station, which is a really unique opportunity to explore this 23-acre campus that's only a really short walk from downtown Highlands, and it's a beautiful little mountain town. Your literal backyard is the Highlands Botanical Gardens, which is like a 12-acre native plant botanical garden. And this is Lindenwood Lake that is also in your backyard. And so it's just a really unique opportunity to explore the Southern Appalachian Mountains. And I'm going to give you a little bit more information about this, but we've really explored the rivers to like these really big peak mountaintops, and we hike a lot. We have regular field trips and hands-on activity, and these are exploring natural areas and culturally significant Cherokee sites. So just kind of, oh, here we go. All right. So the Highlands Field site really focuses on ecology, conservation, and science communication. And these are just some of the photos from our adventures and some of the activities and hands-on adventures that we take on. So whether it is, I'm going to give you a little bit more information of some of the details regarding this, but just wanted to show you some visual representation of some of the sites that you get to visit and explore while we're here during the semester. And the beauty of every single one of these field sites is that you also have the weekends to explore these really glorious places. And this is one of those opportunities where you get to meet friends for a lifetime. You get to form really tight bonds with your cohort members, right? We see our students going on lots of little fun side quests, right? And adventures like this last weekend. Some people went rock climbing, for example, right? So it's just a really fun and unique opportunity to create friendships as well as being able to learn about a place and a space. So specifically, I really wanted to discuss what do you gain from attending the Highlands Field site. So as mentioned, we are really focused on these mountain and aquatic system conservation and communication. You get to earn 17 credit hours in total. And I'd like to shed a little bit of light about each one of these. So specifically for your capstone, for example, with capstone, we have for the past 4 years now, we have really focused on microplastics. And as Jordan can tell you, while it is very tedious, it is really great opportunity to learn the entire scientific method from start to finish. So learning how to be a scientist, how to take on and tackle a research project, right? And with our capstone, we really emphasize working as a team to conduct and present research. And this addresses environmental issues, for example, for like a client. But it is about analyzing and providing solutions for real world problems. And so in our case, as mentioned, we do microplastics. And what's really fantastic about this opportunity is we're working on our third and fourth manuscript, which the students will be authors on. So it's a great opportunity to not only gain that research experience, but also to be a published author in an actual research article, on a peer-reviewed research article. And then, of course, we have our communication class, which was listed now currently as ENIC 491. And in this particular class, we offer tools to effectively and credibly communicate about environmental topics and offer methods for basically critical thinking, writing, and speaking, right? So being able to explore your creative side and emphasizing really the importance, if you're a scientist or you're thinking about being a scientist, it is equally important to be a great communicator and being able to disseminate this information to the general public in some way, but also being creative about it and having fun. And that's what you get to learn in this particular course. For our remote sensing class, you basically get to understand the impacts on the landscape from like these different perspectives. The really cool part about this is you get to learn how to fly a drone, which is awesome. But at the same time, you are actually learning how to acquire, process, and analyze different types of data. You get to learn how to utilize ArcGIS. And my favorite, you get to learn how to use RStudio. Jordan disagrees vehemently, but that's okay. So it is a great tool to help you learn the basic stats as well as how do we process information to make meaningful inferences, right? So you collect all of this really cool data. Now, what do you do with it? And this is where we do a lot of hand holding, right? We're not expecting you to know any of this information beforehand. And I promise that we are here to support and help you through the whole process. So when you have questions and if something's unclear, we're always here to help you along the way. All right, so your independent research project, that's really cool because you get to pair up with another student and you work with different individuals from like scientists and conservation professionals on a specific project. So Jordan, for example, is working with Janira and they're working on a wetlands project. And of course, they have to do something with bats because I'm a bat nerd and I love them. And by the end of the semester, you may or may not like them, but you will know a lot about bats. So that's that's the fun part about that. But it's a really interesting way, again, reinforcing that whole scientific method, right, from start to finish, learning how to actually engage in a real world research project, right, writing a paper and then presenting that at the end of your semester. And some of these projects, depending on the amount of work and the data that you collect, we also have about 4 manuscripts in preparation as a result of that. So it's not intended to be busy work for you. We're literally giving you a real world research project that we would like you to tackle. And then the scientist that you're working with is helping you along the way and teaching you all of the skills that you need to have. So one of the things that I would like to emphasize here is please don't be intimidated by anything that you might hear from any of the field sites. We are here to support you. We do not have expectations for you to have all of this knowledge prior to coming here. We expect just for you to have an open mind and eagerness to learn, and we can teach you everything you need to know. So just keep that in mind. So please don't be intimidated by anything that you hear in general. All right. So the next class is the human impacts, and this course really explores the ecological foundation of the Southern Appalachian Mountains and the significant impacts and consequences of the Anthropocene. So how are humans impacting this region? What are we doing in general? And there's also a lab associated with this. And every year we kind of shift the type of lab that we do. But this year we did a climate change experiment, which was interesting. And hopefully, I'm eager to see the results of this. We used environmental chambers to basically simulate different heat waves and to figure out how these really important native grasses might respond to this. And then your last course is the cultural history class, and this really explores the interconnections of people in the Southern Appalachian landscapes as they live through time. So this really is focused from like pre-contact to present. And so you get to read this really fantastic book and you get to lead a discussion every week. And that where you go for this discussion really depends on the week. So I think the group leader that gets to decide this, correct, Jordan? So you guys get to pick a different place. Yeah, you get to pick a different place on campus or off campus where you'd like to have this discussion. So overall, this is a lot of hands-on experiences that you get to engage in and lots of exploring and learning. And so just like Susan had mentioned previously, you get to spend more time outdoors than you do inside. And this is just some of the photos from some of the adventures and independent research projects. And there's Jordan right here checking her detectors at the wetlands, and Janira right here conducting water quality measurements. And here's Savannah and Addie that are actually counting bats in one of our caves. So it's just, you get to engage in really exciting research. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you might see a black bear, and that's our resident bears. Jordan, I'm sure that they have seen so many bears this year, which is really exciting. And as they try to kind of um, access your living quarters, this is why it's important to lock your doors for everything that you do around here. But anyhow, it is lots of really fantastic adventures that you get to share and learn. And we have found that these outdoor classrooms are really effective for people to retain the information. So you're not memorizing information, right? And learning all of these big principles, but instead you're literally engaging in them and they stay with you for a much longer period of time than if you were just memorizing it for a test. So the other really amazing thing about this particular program is we get to take these really long field trips as well. We have these three different 3-day field trips that we engage in, and one of them is your first day of class. We basically, just as you move in, we get you to pack up and we go on a 3-day field trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. And we get to know each other a little bit better. We learn about some of those basic fundamental principles in ecology and human impacts. And then, when you come back, we start you on your independent research project and the capstone. But basically, it's just a really fantastic way of being able to get to know this particular location and get a sense of place. And so you get very connected to this location through its landscapes and through the culture of from various different perspectives. And it's just really fun ways of exploring and seeing the spaces and places around you, which is awesome. So here's just a couple of really cute pictures that I love, and I enjoy the landscapes here, but also students, as mentioned before, you do gain some really fantastic friends along the way. And that's one of our favorite things about this program is that we see that students continue to talk to each other and form these friendships along the way. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is my email, but our students have also maintained an Instagram account throughout the semester and all of their adventures. We tried to focus on science, but we fell off the deep end for some of these posts. They're basically just their adventures here at the Highlands Field site. So if you would like to check that out and see it, please feel free to do so. And I think I am done here, so we're happy to take any questions for any of us that you may have.
Awesome. Thank you, Rada. If y'all haven't been scanning the chat, there's emails in the chat, there's links in the chat. So please jump in there, and that will be included because I've recorded this and you'll be able to go back and revisit it also. I have two questions I want to pose to the field site directors while everybody's kind of pumping theirs in there. The first one was from McKenna. And field site directors, I actually don't remember when y'all start reviewing applications. So when would students know that they have been accepted into a field site? And you may not have an answer. We may need to communicate later, and because I
I
kind
can
of
maybe
surprised you with that.
communicate later, Susan, because it really depends on when we decide when we're given access by study abroad, and that's typically based on how many applications we see. So
When did we, does anybody remember when we did it last year?
I think that we couldn't officially accept people until March, but we unofficially accepted people in late January.
Late January
Yeah.
sounds right from my memory. Nathan, is that your?
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
And is it possible if students are anxious about it to sort of know where they sit? Like, Lindsay, let's say you have 50 applicants, and good and well you can't take 50 students, and there's no way, and if somebody's the 48th applicant, right, they're probably not getting in for the year. Is there a way to sort of, if people are very anxious about it, can they shoot emails and sort of
Yes,
check
absolutely.
in?
I
Okay.
think I typically have conversations, or Linda and I have conversations with most applicants, I think, before they get official word.
Perfect.
So we have a
Okay,
good sense.
so be a little patient, but if you're feeling very anxious about it, go ahead and reach out to a field site director. And regardless, they're probably going to reach out to you sooner rather than later to just sort of remind you to finish your application, see if you have questions, check in on your interests and things like that. Is that a fair statement? Did I set y'all up for anything? Okay, good. And the other question I wanted to ask to all of them is there and this was from Laura. Do you recommend students go in a certain year, sophomore, junior, senior? Is there one year you recommend more than others? Is connections earlier? Are they better? And I think the field site students may have one answer and the field site directors may have another. Maybe they're the same. If anyone wants to chime
You
in
just saw
there.
Jordan's, and I agree. I mean, we mostly have sophomores, juniors, and seniors, probably more juniors than anything. But the earlier you attend a field site, the more opportunities that sets you up for later, including things like the Institute for the Environment's summer internship program. And so you don't, I mean, if I had to say which one, I would say anything but senior year.
Right.
I mean, not, but if you're a rising senior, then of course do it. But
Get that
if you have a
application in
choice,
early.
if you have a choice, there's some real advantages of doing it earlier. And
Carly was a
also
super sophomore.
for whatever reason, our sophomores end up being like just fantastic students. I don't know. Lily, you're a
Completely
sophomore, right?
agree.
Isn't that true?
Completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't feel like just because you're a sophomore, you don't have like the whatever the prerequisites or anything like that. There's so many advantages of doing it early. I think that, yeah, I would say do it early.
Thank
Yeah.
So
you
Carly's our
guys.
ambassador. Ooh, sorry, I'm gonna jump in for 1 second. Carly's our ambassador from OBX, the Outer Banks site, and she really loved it as a sophomore and also knocking those requirements. Oh, there you are, Carly. Sorry, I couldn't find you. I don't mean to speak for you, but I thought your comment was really great in answering that. And apparently you were super. Okay. Any more questions? London, I did not mean to cut you off, and I think I did, and I apologize for that. Were you about to ask a question, or was it Laura had a follow up? I feel like I
I
cut
was just
somebody
gonna
off.
say thank you
Oh,
for answering a
absolutely.
question.
Absolutely. I'm going to share a little bit more info in case and just give folks a couple minutes to ask any more questions before we wrap it up. And is what I want to do. I just have a few frequently asked questions that I just want to share with you. So let me share my screen really quick. And I
I
want to
would
give you,
also add to that real quick, like all the
please.
field site directors were saying, the field sites set you up really well to do your honors thesis. So if you're getting to the field site sooner, you just have more time to plan your housing for the years in advance and also for your honors thesis in advance.
The Field Center ambassadors have a ton of information, y'all, and I'm not sure their emails are up on the website yet, but they will be very soon. And they want you to send them emails. Um, it's true. It's true. So hopefully you can see my screen. Let me know if you can't. There's the QR code again. But I also want to share this. Oh gosh, here we go. I think I might be frozen. Let me do my camera off just to save some bandwidth here. Rolling applications. The deadline is March 1st. These sites will fill up before March 1st, but get your application done. If you don't make it in 1 year, you can get onto the list for the next year. So don't panic. You can apply in multiple places. You can go to the UNC Study Abroad website and just Google the program. You can go to the IE website and there's an apply button and it will take you to the study abroad. So lots of different ways to find it. I also wanted to talk about the cost for a second. Here's the current cost for each of the field sites. HFS is Highlands, OBX is Outer Banks, and MCFS is Morehead City.
Susan, I'm
These are,
not seeing,
oh crap, really? Okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
I'm not seeing anything.
Apologies, y'all. I have such a potty mouth. I'm sorry, I should have said that. Okay. Let me do that again. Let me share again. How about now?
Uh, yes.
Perfect. Okay. These are the costs. These are estimates. The final cost will be very close. We fine tune the cost, is because costs change over time for your field trips and things like that. So we kind of wait a little bit to get the final one. But these are very close estimates. And you'll see that all the costs are very close to the Chapel Hill, a traditional Chapel Hill semester cost for in-state tuition. And these costs, if you live on campus and have a meal plan, this is where they become comparable. If you live off campus and buy your own food, you're probably spending less money. But the costs are comparable to like a full semester on campus. If you are out of state, you get in-state tuition. So that's a real bonus for out-of-state folks. There are scholarships. I encourage you to again go to the SAO and the IE websites, and you'll see tons of links. Your financial aid works at the field sites. There are scholarships to make up for gaps in case your financial aid doesn't happen to cover everything. And Nathan mentioned it briefly. There are opportunities for after you attend a field site to potentially go back and do additional research in the following summer. So that's a lot at once, I know. You can grab a photo of that. Again, you can go to this QR code and see all the information. I did just want to share those last few things. So, any other questions that have maybe popped up in the chat?
I
Yeah,
forgot something that
do it.
important that I forgot to mention. So for our fall of 2026, the Morehead City Field Site's going to start at normal time. So it'll be like August 17th. But because of our housing situation with NC State, we're going to go remote the last 2 weeks. So basically, at Thanksgiving break, you'll go home and take your 2 exams will be taken remotely. So there'll be like a lecture or a view session and an exam after Thanksgiving that you'll do from home. The capstone project and your independent study project will wrap up before that. So we'll have that end of the year research celebration that we all look forward to before before the field site goes remote. I almost forgot to mention that. That's an important.
I'm really glad you did. That is
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
And then I put in the comment that otherwise field site schedules tend to follow the regular semester dates.
Yes.
So the first day, the last day, the holidays, the wellness days, it tends to follow all of those days. Okay, have I missed any comments?
And I do think if I could cut in, I think for the price, there's at least when I'm looking on the HBS, like how it's broken down, there is, and there might be this for all the other field sites, there is some in that included total. There's some wiggle room of like there's at least I think $1,000 for like personal expenses outside of groceries that personally being in the mountains, we don't do that much shopping. So like so there's like some wiggle room in those numbers. It's not like that's the hard cap. And if you spend anything extra, it's going to be more than that. It's like they've already accounted for like at least $1,000 in personal expenses. And like, I think it was like 1,600 for groceries that you may or may not reach. So those are like kind of up to you how you allocate your money and like which grocery stores you go to. And so the number can be a little bit smaller depending on how you spend your money.
Jordan, that's a great point. And when you go to the Study Abroad website and see the costs, because they break them out, they have them broken out into billable. So those are things you have to pay, tuition fees, and then non-billable. And that's exactly the expenses that Jordan, that you're talking about. And we struggle with getting those right because we know students spend different amounts of food and you're outside working so hard. Right, I think you maybe eat a little bit more. There's a lot of collective cooking that goes on. A lot of people learn how to cook, which is really fun. There's a lot of like collective living, which is really special with your cohorts. So, Jordan, that's a great point. That costs, there is a little bit of wiggle there. And I think we overestimate that kind of on purpose out of an abundance of caution. And those are the kind of expenses that may slip through the gaps of your financial aid that if a student's really coming up short, we can help with. But I will also say everything students need for research. So if you need waders or you need boots or you need gloves or you need whatever gear you need, that gear is provided to you. You are not expected to buy your own gear to execute research, but you are expected to come up with, to show up with a good pair of shoes, right? And a good coat, right? And stuff like that. So that's also something to think about. What have we missed? That's a lot of information, I know. And again, this recording will be on our field site. We have 3 minutes. I encourage everybody to send all the emails and questions that you have. Make appointments with field site directors. Make an appointment with me. We love talking about these sites and filling in those information gaps. You're going to be home soon, right? Maybe talk to your parents over Thanksgiving break. You can watch this recording, but I'll try to have Emily bleep out my cussing because your parents may be watching and be like, who's that crazy woman cussing on this webinar? We don't want that. Any last questions before how does parking work for each site and can we bring vehicles? Yes, you may bring a vehicle. It is actually kind of encouraged, but absolutely not required. And there's ample parking at every field site that is free. You don't pay additional parking fees. Even when everybody ends up bringing a car, I always find that like students tend to pile into just one or two cars anyway and go to eat or to the grocery store or go hiking. So you do park right in front of your house at Highlands, but for the love of God, lock your car so the black bears don't break into it. So yes, bring a vehicle if you can. It is absolutely not a requirement. And if you're like, I don't know how to get there and I don't want to apply because of that, we're going to help you figure out how to get there. Okay. So don't let not having a car intimidate you. But if you got one, yeah, right. You guys carpool everywhere. We almost can't separate the students. Like they just kind of become attached at the hip, and it's kind of hard to like peel them apart. Because there's just a great bond and great friendships, and they do things in groups a lot. So, those are good questions, McKenna. You brought your A game today. Anything else before we have one more minute? Oh, and Lindsay uses a 15-passenger van to haul everybody around. And then she puts you on a boat, maybe a ferry. And then she puts a mosquito net on your head and sends you into the maritime forest. Outer Banks is a really interesting place. We didn't really talk about energy, and Lindsay Dubs also happens to be an energy specialist. So if you're interested in energy, you may want to talk to Lindsay about that as well. Um, Highlands also lots of vans. We're shoving people into vans and boats a lot. There's a lot of movement together, that's for sure. A lot of bicycles. A lot of people bring their bicycle. I think that's really the case for Morehead City and Outer Banks, and you bicycle around town a lot. And there's pickleball going on at Morehead City. I'm sure there is somewhere else also. So bring your
Lots of
pickleball paddle.
pickleball.
Pickleball paddle. Highlands is famous for their Halloween party. The whole town, they shut down all the roads. Outer Banks, I always think of like regattas and flotillas coming down the Outer Banks. You have them in Morehead City too, but I love the Outer Banks ones. And Outer Banks, man, if you're a birder, you got to go to Pea Island. Like there's so many little special things about each of the field sites. It's hard to really communicate it all.
You
All
can't
right.
go wrong by picking any of the field site.
You really can't.
Pick
You
one
really
and
can't.
go to it. I promise you will not regret it.
No one ever does. I say that, but I don't know if people really believe me. But I've never had a student come back and be like, "I'm sorry, I went to a field site." It just, it's just they're just extraordinary. So, okay, it is 5:30 on the dot, and it's dark out. I know everybody has lots to do. Can you bring ESA to these sites? I'm not sure I know what ESA is.
Is
Like
that
service
environmental service
animals?
arrow?
Is that
Okay,
a support animal? Because I just looked into this.
yes, you
Yeah, I think
did.
a service animal.
Yeah, you can absolutely bring service animals. There's forms that you have to fill out. If you're going to Morehead City field site, there's UNC forms you have to fill out, and then there's also NC State forms you have to fill out, but it's just forms. So you can,
And
and then we have to figure out who, like if people are allergic to dogs or whatever, then we have to figure that out. But it's workable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lindsay, did I see you?
Yeah, I was gonna say the forms are the same here. But it's just one set of forms, I believe.
Perfect. Yeah, the field sites demand a lot, and I think all of the directors are ready to work with you on accommodations and make sure they're accessible to everybody because they really are special, and everybody should have really a chance to get there and experience them. So if you have a concern in any respect about accommodations, please do not hesitate to reach out, and please reach out early
Yeah.
so details can really be ironed out and housing and things like that can be taken care of because once we get too far down the line, we're really committed to a lot of things. So definitely reach out and reach out early in those instances. All right, everybody have a great night. It's a little bit premature, but have an awesome Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you rest up and enjoy your time with your family or your friends or your travels, whatever you're doing. Be careful and please reach out. And we look forward to seeing everybody at the field sites.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
Bye.
y'all.
everybody.
Hi.
See y'all.